Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan Metal video. So in this video I wanted to talk to you guys about free-to-play units, what they are, why you should get them, should you invest in them, and just basically give a rundown of them. So free-to-play units, I keep a tab of free-to-play units, that's how important they are to me. And basically what I constitute as free-to-play is any unit that a player can decide to get at any time. So I don't include World Tournament summon units in here, although they are technically free-to-play because you don't need stones to get them. They are still RNG focused, so you can still miss out on World Tournament units sheerly through luck, which kind of removes that ability from them to be free to play for me. So all of these units here you can get, obviously when the events are up or through portal key memories or anything like that, you can get all of these units. That also includes battlefield currency units. So let's just talk about free to play. Let's just talk about what it is. So a free to play unit is essentially these units here, and why are they important? Free-to-play units are important because they can fill out niche categories. They can help fill out and flesh out the game's less popular categories. We look at units like Casserelle. He's a fantastic unit for the Universe 11 category, which realistically isn't a category that's going to A, grow super fast, or B, is the most popular category in the game. It's not a category that's going to get a ton of summonable units beyond Jiren or maybe a Topo in future. So having free-to-play options like him and like these units like Videl and Gohan or Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 who help to flesh out the categories like Defenders of Justice, you can kind of help to solve the game's problem of creating too many niche categories. Free-to-play units, and a great example of this, like the Ginyu Force, which we'll talk about right now, are a great example of how the game utilizes the free-to-play or the event character system to keep the game viable with its many categories and to provide niche and fun interesting categories that are true to the show. The Ginyu Force isn't a category that people would summon on. As much as I'd love to summon for a Ginyu Force card or Ginyu Force General Banner card or something like that, and I'm sure some other people would, we can all be completely honest and say it's not a massive selling point. The game's not designed like that, and Dragon Ball Z's never really worked like that. So obviously no one watches Dragon Ball Z to see Recoome. We watch Dragon Ball Z to see Goku fight Recoome in a cool fight and a battle, but Recoome is not that focus point. And when you look at units like Krillin and you look at units like Majin Buu and Babidi, these are niche units that deserve good cards because they represent very important moments in the show, but making them summonable cards is going to dampen sales, of course, which is a big thing for Dokkan, but is also not something players are going to really get hype about. Hype is a concept that constantly carries gacha game interest. As much as it'd be cool, we also wouldn't be super ecstatic to log into Dokkan every day and do events if we're getting Kid Gohan, then Krillin, then Tien, then a Yamcha, then a Puar summonable unit, then a Yajirobe summonable unit, and these type of hype mechanics are realistically how we can keep the game going. So by making niche units, it's super helpful. Now, of course, the thing with free-to-play units that I've noticed, and that's something that you should also keep credence of, is the free-to-play units are becoming interconnected. If we look at Master Roshi required us to have this Goku, it required us to have the Krillin and Android 18, and it required us to have the Master Roshi and Tien unit, all easy-aid, all completed, and they are all free-to-play units as well. And generally it was advisable for you to put orbs into them to complete the events. Now this interplay of free-to-play units is starting to become quite a large connection. I mean, if we go and take a look now at the EZA area section, we can see that there's a lot of EZA areas, and a lot of them rely on having a multitude of free-to-play units. We'll use the Ginyu Force as the aforementioned example, but the Ginyu Force essentially requires you to have the Team Bardock units, which are free-to-play, and the Ginyu Force units, which are free-to-play. And both of those are massive time sinks to have both of those teams rainbow ready, which obviously requires multiple copies, it requires hidden potential, it requires orbs because they all have their own orbs. And similarly with the Planet Namek Saga, even though it's a smaller EZA, you're still required to have Krillin and Vegeta, Zarbon and Dodoria, the free-to-play second form Frieza, the free-to-play Piccolo, the AGL one, the Prime Battle Frieza's a prime option, he's a massive grind, the free-to-play Gohan. Otherwise you need to have like 4 summonable General Banner units, which is not common for a lot of people if you don't A, summon a lot on these banners, and B, aren't necessarily just common units in general. So you can see how the EZA areas are requiring you not only to have units from current events, but units from previous events that the game kind of just assumes you have. Now the issue with this is for returning or new players, they feel like they have to go through a very gated process to earning some of these really good free-to-play rewards. I have a friend who returned back, he plays Dokkan quite regularly, but he had to redo the whole Team Bardock, and then after doing Team Bardock he had to finish up the Ginyu Force members, and once he finished the Ginyu Force members he could EZA them. Now they circumvent this by making the EZAs especially good, but this also applies further pressure onto players to make sure that they do all of this farming. Now, one thing that I like to say to players is the events will always come back. There's no need to push yourself, burn yourself out, but that sense of innate pressure will always remain there. People will always feel like they have to have all of the units done. And we can see this from the Prime Battle EZAs, Majin Buu Saga EZAs, the Allah Prime Battle Goku EZAs. All of these are quite interconnected. They require you to EZA multiple units. You need to free to play those units. You have units to do the EZA areas. Bardock's EZA area is required to do Frieza, but Bardock's EZA area requires you to do the Goku and Slug EZA area, and that requires you to have multiple free units from multiple events. And so all of it's interconnected. Now, what they could do for me is they could create breaks, and we'll talk about those just now, but I think those are important. They need to segment their EZA areas, much like how the Zero Mortal Plan's EZA area can be done and has no bearing on Prime Battle Goku or Prime Battle Frieza. I think it's important that they do segment them, much like how Master Roshi's EZA area has no bearings on any of the other EZA areas. I think that's a very important step that they do need to do. If we take a look at the Prime Battle Allahs right here, we can see, that Goku's Prime Battle EZA was the first one. Now you had to do Goku's to do Frieza. Of course, that is fine for me. Having to have a Prime Battle Super Saiyan Goku to take on a Prime Battle Frieza does make somewhat sense. But I do believe the game needs to make sure that it doesn't then require you to have Prime Battle Frieza and Goku to do the Prime Battle Vegeta EZA, for example, or the Prime Battle Trunks EZA. It's important to make sure that these sections are segmented off. Vegeta needs to require a whole new different set of Prime Battle units, and Vegeta can then be connected to Trunks, but then it should stop there. That should be the end of the interactions between Prime Battle EZAs. You can maybe make one rely on one other one, but to make them constantly flow into each other creates the grind for new players to become inaccessible and puts too much of that internal pressure that we spoke about earlier onto players to farm these units. Because farming free-to-play units and rainbowing them like this requires far more effort and grind and dedication to the game than summoning a whole bunch of units and buying stones and having a good time. You can buy stones, summon on banners, and have a more fun, quick, and convenient time than grinding out good free-to-play units. 100%. But now, why should you farm free-to-play units? Free-to-play units will help you complete hard content in the game. It will help you complete hard content in the game because the free-to-play units are starting to get a good level of respect from Dokkan. They're getting EZA to be very viable. They are filling out niche categories, like I said earlier, which is a big benefit of them. You are getting them to fill out niche categories, which is great. The Ginyu Force is now a viable team because of this exact fact. But harder content like category challenges for LGEGT, for the original Legendary Goku event, for Infinite Dragon Ball History, for future Dokkan events, for anything like this, will require free-to-play units, and they can be a great asset in completing these challenges, in filling out these categories. I'll give you two examples. I can go to Extreme Super Battle Road stage, okay, which is probably the second, maybe third hardest content in the game, behind the Gods of Destruction and behind the Legendary Goku GTE event. And I can go to these stages. I can go to Verse Extreme Int, and you will see 2 free-to-play units in my fastest clear. I did this the other day, so I know that they work. These are 2 free-to-play units in my fastest clear. Yes, you need other units to make the team work, but these units were 100% viable. Anyone can go back and even watch the video. They are very, very, very rock solid. Another example in the Super AGL event. This is a super hard stage that everyone has problems with. But Lord Slug, free-to-play unit. Cell, First Form, free-to-play unit. Yes, you do need other units to make it work, but these are 2 units that help to fill in slots in the team, and they did not let me down. You really will be able to complete these highly tuned events without having units that can at least somewhat carry their weight, and these 2 units were exceptional. So that's why you should invest in free-to-play units, because free-to-play units are super helpful. They will help you complete challenges, they will help you earn other well worth free-to-play units, they will help flesh out your categories, they'll give you options to run teams, things like the Namekian team. That free-to-play Lord Slug is a great asset to that team. He is a good unit, and the Namekian's team is a niche category, so he fills in a slot on the team and he provides some good assistance there. Now, in terms of free-to-play units, a common question is, should I invest orbs in them? So obviously some units like Vegeta Jr., Goku Jr., the Ginyu Force, Team Bardock, they all have their own orbs. And so investing in them is not a waste of your own hidden potential orbs. But some free-to-play units can be highly worth the hidden potential investment. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you which ones you should invest in. That's going to be on a case-by-case situation. Why did I not invest in Goten? Because I didn't need to. Why did I invest in Goku? Because I needed to. But you should invest orbs generally if the unit EZAs, I think, is a good indication of investing orbs. I think at that point then, you at least are getting some idea of what the unit's final product is. Nowadays, with everything EZAing, I think investing in a unit that hasn't EZA'd is somewhat not necessary. I think it can lead to you kind of pigeonholing that unit. Obviously, a good thing with free-to-play units is you can correct their builds quite easily, but it is just some future admin you maybe want to avoid, and also allows you to save those orbs for a more present unit that you need for other content. So it's just going to depend on that. But yeah, in terms of free-to-play units, I think this so far kind of just sums up all of my thoughts. But at the end of the day, I think not farming free-to-play units is not great. I think you don't need to farm every free-to-play unit as it comes out. I'm not someone who says you need to go back and farm every single free-to-play unit that's ever existed. Just make sure that you try when you can, when you're feeling good, to pick up these units if you can. That will help your box, it'll help you flesh out your box, and realistically it's just going to save you some future effort and grind and keep you up to date, because these units are starting to really become good. They're starting to really be useful in endgame content, and it's just a shame when everyone else gets hype about maybe a new Prime Battle Vegeta EZA that you're unable to join in. But that's going to be it from me, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about free-to-play units. What are your favorite free-to-play units? And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. But until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.